Hello. Saying hello to nobody. Um, Let me go change some settings. How do I do this again? All right. Hey everyone, I'm doing a poll. I'm typing a poll question. All right, so I'm working and Little Miss was sleeping. She slept from around 9:30 until 12. So she literally just started to squirm a couple minutes to midday, and then she woke up at midday right under that. So of course she's hungry. I'm feeding her. I'm trying to keep up with my 12 o'clock lives like I said I would. Somebody's cutting their yard or sounds like a weed whacker. I hope it's not too loud. I have no control over that. Um, Also let me know if you're hearing music in my background. She's been on the boob for less than 15 minutes and she just let go. And he's here smiling. Are you done? Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Not waking up. kicking her feet and she's not responding. She's like, she's pulling her foot away, but she's not waking up. Yeah, well, anyhow, I my poll question, if you're still watching and you haven't answered the poll, please go check it out and give it an answer. The question is, do you believe breastfeeding should be normalized and openly discussed in public? In my country, in Jamaica, I don't think there's not too much on breastfeeding and breastfeeding in public. It's more normalized here, but I know that in the United States it's a thing. Um, and I find that so strange, but okay. So I wanted to see, since I'm breastfeeding, I wanted to see what other persons believe about the matter. And I actually have this, what do you call it? A collaboration with a lactation consultant and based here in Jamaica. And one of the things that she wants me, or one of the things that's a part of the contract, is going live on Instagram. I've never been live on Instagram. I actually I don't do much on Instagram, to be honest. I don't post that very often. Um, the most I'll do is probably like share on my stories. That's what I do mostly. And even that is not, I can't say that I share on my stories like every day. I'll probably go for days, more than a week, without sharing anything. Um, for me with Instagram, oftentimes when I go on there, I kind of get carried away. More so than TikTok. I don't know what it is about Instagram. And then sometimes I go on there to do something specific, like to message a specific person or to check messages from a specific person, or sometimes brands will reach out to you and tell you to check them out on Instagram. And I might go on there for that, and then I end up just watching reels. Just watching reels. So I don't know. I'm not very active over there, so I'm a little bit petrified of going live on Instagram. I'm more comfortable going live over here. I don't know why. Because at the end of the day, it's still talking to strangers on the internet mostly. Or maybe even talking to yourself. There's a couple times since I've been in here that there's been nobody in the live. But I don't know. Are you gonna wake up and finish eating? No. If not, we're gonna try and burp. Are you fussing? Are you fussing? She is sleeping. She's sleeping. I was trying to see if she would be interested in taking the bowl, but she's sleeping. I don't know what kind of musmus. Um, the 10-minute session this was. Alright, let's try and see if we can get a burp out. Whew. This is the part I don't like because it takes forever. Sometimes. Most of the times. It takes so long to get her to burp. I think my second baby was the only one that burped easily or quickly after turning him upright. Sometimes I wouldn't even have to do anything. She does it easily sometimes. Sometimes she even burps while she's still on the boob. But most of the times it takes forever. Which is kind of annoying at night when I want to sleep. Because a lot of times I'm just up trying to get her to burp. As she feeds and falls asleep. And there's no burping going on. So far, with 5 votes, everybody believes that breastfeeding should be normalized and openly discussed in public. That's awesome. That's nice to know. If you're watching and you haven't voted on the poll, please go and vote on my poll. And please like the live. I'm trying to see how people feel about breastfeeding. And if you're here, comment where you're from. I was making reference to, the question is really for, how do I clear this off the screen? I don't know. Okay, let's just leave it alone. The question was really for, thank you, somebody just voted. The question is, as I said, not so much for me or us here in Jamaica, because I think we're pretty laid back where breastfeeding is concerned. You'll just be out and about and people just popping out their titties and feeding their babies, like in public transportation, at a restaurant. It's not taboo at all in any way. And maybe taboo is not the right word to use, but it's not weird. You don't, you see somebody breastfeeding here, it's everybody just gone about their business. It's like, and you would wonder if some of the women wouldn't be shy to breastfeed in public. But I mean, there are women who are definitely not shy. They're just gonna take their boobs out and feed their babies. And like if you work, when you go to clinic, it's like everybody's breastfeeding their baby. With with we have gotten a bit Americanized, you might say, or just maybe just more aware of ourselves and being in public. And you will find women that's wearing like a cover up, or they'll put something over to cover themselves, like I just did with the baby's receiver. But for the most part, you'll just see women breastfeeding and they just take their boobs out and give it to the baby, and they will continue to feed their baby like that, and it's fine. But in the US, it's something different. So my current subscribers are mainly from the US. I know that in the live, it's not, a lot of times it's not subscribers that are in the live, but still, I'm asking the question. See, still no burp. I heard when I was in the hospital, I heard like this lady, she was concerned her baby wasn't burping. And the nurse was like, oh, sometimes they burp and you can't hear it. I'm like, that doesn't help. And that does not help. So what do I do? Like, I don't hear the burp. So how do I know that they've burped if I don't hear it? Especially for a young mother, she looked young. Um, like you worry about those things because they make a big deal out of it at the hospital when you're in the hospital. Make sure the baby burps, and if they feed the baby, they tell you, I fed and burped the baby. Um, I don't know, but this baby is not too fussy. Even when she doesn't burp, she don't seem to be bothered by gas and that sort of stuff. So I'm happy for that. I think my first and my third babies, they were very miserable. But my first baby stayed in the NICU. That's not what we call it. We call it nursery. But he stayed there for a couple days. I was discharged and he had to stay. So he got formula like for his night feeds, because I was there in the day from a particular time until in the evening. Here I had done a C-section, and I'm gone off tangent with the story kind of a little bit, but I had done a C-section, and they don't accommodate you at the hospital. If you're there to see your baby, you get a chair by their crib or by their bassinet. That's basically it. So I would go in the mornings and I'd leave. At the time, my brother was, I would leave when he left work, so I would get a ride home with him. At the time, I didn't have a car. Um, and my ex-husband was not here, so I was staying with my mom and my dad. He was there. I think he was there for a week. So I struggled with that one with breastfeeding. I mean, I was pumping. I had an electric pump back then. That was in 2009. I had an electric pump and I would try to pump in the night and in the morning before I went to the hospital to kind of keep the rhythm up, especially before my milk really came in. But I did well with him, I think. I didn't exclusively breastfeed him for 6 months. I think I did like 4 months and I introduced solids, purees, and that sort of stuff at 4 months because he was born 8 pounds 15 ounces. He was a big boy and he loved his food, so I introduced solids for him early. But then after that, the second one I exclusively breastfed probably to 5 months, and then I ended up weaning him at 10 months because I had to leave. I had to leave the home for 2 weeks. The first one, he kind of weaned himself. He just after his first birthday or close to his first birthday, he just got up one morning and I was giving him the breast and he looked at the breast. I remember I took him out of his crib and put him in the bed beside me because I wasn't ready to wake up yet. It's interesting how some memories are so solid and then others are kind of loopy. That is I guess you call that a core memory for me. I put him in the bed beside me and gave him the breast and he looked at the breast and he looked at me and he looked at the breast and he looked at me and he laughed. And that was it. He was like, "No, ma'am, I'm done with this breast business." And as I said, the second one I left him for 2 weeks, so that did it for him at around 10 months old. And the third one I stopped breastfeeding him at around his 1 year old birthday. And even now he's 3, and even up to this baby being born, he still wants it. He was still asking me if he could drink from my breast. And after I stopped him, he would still be having his hand going down in my bosom and stuff like that. And then when I got pregnant with this baby now, then I kind of allowed him to do that. And then once I got pregnant with this baby, I was like, okay, we gotta cut that off completely. And spoke to him about the baby and how the baby was gonna need the breasts and show him the differences once the baby got here. Like, oh, see, you have teeth, so you can eat regular food. The baby doesn't have any teeth, so she can only drink breast milk. So that's why she has to have the breast. You no longer need the breast because you can eat food like everybody else in the house eats food, that sort of thing. And he is actually excited. He saw bottles because I washed bottles the other day and had them out on the bottle dryer on the countertop, and he was excited. He was like, "Oh, those are her bottles?" I was like, "Yes." And now he wants to give her milk from the bottles. So I told him that once she starts sitting up, he'll get a chance to feed her milk from a bottle. But yeah, so breastfeeding for me has been, I have a background in nutrition, and I guess for me it's I will I know not everybody can breastfeed, and sometimes it's not even with the woman. It's not an issue with them because I remember I read a story of a lactation consultant who she didn't breastfeed her last child, I believe, because they just, I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't that she was producing milk, but that wasn't the issue. I think the baby just didn't want the breast for whatever reason. So she ended up having to exclusively pump to feed that baby. And it goes to show that Even though it's supposed to be natural. I mean, that's we're designed to feed them that way. It's it doesn't make it easy, and it doesn't mean that it's really what's going to happen. Feeding them directly from the breast. For me, that will always be the choice because I feel like just breastfeeding my baby is so much easier than having to pump, to deal with pump parts and bottles and storage bags and taking up freezer space and all of that. So as long as I'm home and I'm able, I'm going to put the boob straight in the baby's mouth. Now, because of my appreciation for the process of breastfeeding and just how our bodies make milk specific for our babies, I'm getting a call. Hold on, let me decline with a message. You know, I'm supposed to be doing something and I totally forgot. In around 20, 30 minutes. Right. So, yes, so even though it's supposed to be, where was I? Okay, my appreciation of how breast milk is the constituents of the milk are specific to my baby and my baby's needs at any given time, and how the breast milk changes over time as your baby grows, and when your baby is sick and when you're sick. I just think it's amazing. And one of the things for those changes to happen is that you have to put baby to the breast because, and I'm no expert, I'm not trained, I'm not a lactation consultant, I'm not a breastfeeding specialist, I'm not a doctor, I'm none of those things. But the baby saliva, the baby latching, um, sends messages to wherever, from the baby saliva through my breasts. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but the long and short of it is that's how that works. So when your baby gets it directly from the breast, that's when it changes to meet their needs. If something is wrong with them, like if they're sick, or as they grow and their needs change. And then, of course, if we're sick, it automatically does whatever it needs to do and puts whatever it needs to put in the breast milk to protect the baby. Um, so I think that is super cool. I am completely fascinated by that. And that is one of the reasons that I will die on the hill. As much as I am able to just put the boob in the baby's mouth, that is what I'm going to do. But of course, I know that I'm not always going to be there to feed baby. I have to go back to work. There are times when I'm gonna have to leave the baby outside of work as well. And so I'm pumping to have a little stash for those instances. I'm not actively pumping now. I said I wanted to start pumping at 2 weeks with the manual pump, but I haven't started that. I started that recently, but I haven't done much, to be honest. Um, yeah, so that is my 2 cents on breastfeeding and why I love it. Um, and I get like some women say they want their partners to be involved in the feeding process, and I get that. And that's fine. But for me, if my partner is not gonna be the one that's washing the bottles and the pump parts, then I'm not taking on that extra responsibility. Cause it's a lot, you know. You all of a sudden you have these things to wash and sterilize where if you could just put your baby to the boob, like They can help in other ways. Daddies can help in other ways. That's my take. But as I said, not not throwing any shade on anybody that feels differently or has to do differently. For me, it's just I just made up my mind that I wanted to breastfeed my babies and I was gonna do it. So if the milk not coming down, if the nipples are sore, I work with it, I work through it and get to the point where my milk comes in fully. The first one was a little bit of a struggle because he didn't come home with me. The second one wasn't so bad because but I didn't get him immediately after birth. It was a good one. I think they gave him formula. So that was his first. I think all my babies got their first meal was always formula. And a lot of times you might think that when they start getting formula, they might not take to the breast so much. But if you're adamant that you want to breastfeed and your mind is set on it, you can do it. The milk will come down. The milk will come as long as you are not having any issues or you don't have any issues with your breasts, and some issues can be alleviated with the help or expertise of a lactation consultant and baby as well. Sometimes babies might have some issues with latching, like if they have a tongue tie. Those are things that your pediatrician can look out for. Lactation consultant, I believe, will also be able to determine if your baby has a tongue tie, and and you work with your pediatrician to I don't, and you can work. That's something that you can work through. But it's hard, especially the first couple of days if you're having trouble with the baby latching and it's painful and your nipples get sore, and sometimes it's really bad, guys. Like people, I've seen women that have like that actually get a little blood in their milk, and it's hard. And it's hard to have sore nipples and then have a baby or a pump trying to extract milk. But it's one of those things where it don't last forever. It does not last forever. And like I said, there's products that you can use that will help to alleviate the discomfort, the soreness, the pain. There's massagers, there's oils, there's creams, there's ointments. There's quite a lot of things to support women in their breastfeeding journey, and I love that about getting, as you know we we get more modernized and things improve and we have more knowledge and we can do better. We can do better for these babies. And look at my baby. She came out at 6 pounds and 7 ounces. And when we went to the doctor I can't remember when we went to the pediatrician. We went to the clinic at 6 days. I think we went to the pediatrician maybe a week or 2 weeks later, and by that time she was 8 pounds 9 ounces, and she's exclusively breastfed. And now I don't know how much she weighs now, but she's a big baby now, and she's out of size 1 diapers now, and size 1 diaper is supposed to go from 8 to 12 pounds if I remember correctly. So I don't know how heavy she is, but I realized that the diapers are not, they're filling up very fast for one. Hi, Kadeen. The diapers are filling up very fast for one. And then when she poops, it's always a blowout. So we have started to wear the size 2 diapers. She's smiling. We've started to wear size 2 diapers, and I'm not one to waste anything, and I don't know anybody that's having a baby soon. So I'm still using the size 1. So like now in the daytime we're at home, I'll use the size 1. When we're going to nighttime, I put on the size 2. If we're going out, I'll put on a size 2. So even if she does poop, we don't have a blowout cause them blowout's no joke. Yes, she is growing. She's so, if you see how she fat, she's a little chunky. And she was so tiny when she made it over here. I'm showing you off. She's very chunky. She have a little crease them. You loving the sleeping in my lap? Because I'm on live. I'm not going to put it on. Yes, but I'm enjoying her. I'm already worried about when I have to start to bring her to daycare. I don't like that. But anyhow, I'm going off topic. I'm supposed to be talking about breastfeeding. If you're in the live and you haven't voted on my poll, check it out. I want to know what your thoughts are on breastfeeding in public. If you think it should be normalized. And I know that a lot of my viewers are not Jamaicans. We are okay with breastfeeding. We are pretty okay with breastfeeding in public and talking about it's not, it's commonplace to see it and nobody feels weird if they see somebody breastfeeding. So I want to know what other people's take is on it. I'm not drinking my water. It's the first one morning not picking up that. Yeah, Jamaicans do not care. Like, we don't think twice if we see somebody breastfeeding their baby. And I was saying earlier in the video, you'll see women breastfeeding in public transportation, in a restaurant, anywhere. We just gonna feed the baby. The baby needs to be fed, and a lot of a lot of babies are exclusively breastfed. Well, let me not say that because I don't have any statistics to back that up. But I think even if they're combo fed, a lot of Jamaicans just straight breastfeed them babies because you always have the breasts. It's easy. There's no extra parts to wash and sterilize. And like I said, I'm fascinated with the science of it, so I could go on and on about why I choose to do it and why I will struggle through it until the struggle finish. But yeah, it's even in the struggle don't last for the entire breastfeeding journey, so it's not that bad, to be honest. It's just the first couple weeks. If you have a baby that has issues, or if you have issues with your nipples, you can get help with the issues if you really want to do it. Sore nipples and engorgement, those things shouldn't put a damper or a stop to breastfeeding if that's what somebody wants to do. And I will die on the hill of the breast is best, but I also agree that fed is best because I know that not everybody has the strength to. It's hot. It's hot. It hurts. Engorgement hurts. Sore nipples hurt. So I get it. But that's my 2 cents on breastfeeding. I love it. I'm gonna do it. And I wish it wasn't so. I wish people didn't look at it in that way. Like, I wish people didn't make other women feel uncomfortable for breastfeeding their babies in public. It's so strange. Like, look away. How is this offensive? Look away. Look away with a side of mind your business. Why are you squirming and making noise in my life? After just telling them that you don't always burp, but you don't seem to be bothered by gas and these things. Now you're here squirming and making sounds to make it look like you're in pain. Are you in pain? She's sleeping. Should go and put her down so I can finish what I'm doing. And since she's not being an active participant in the live. I can't bother. Hi, Kelly. The breast is always best. I think people from our background, it's definitely ignorance, because I cannot understand why for the life of me you'd be offended by somebody breastfeeding. Like, nobody's saying, hello, I'm breastfeeding over here. You know, people just trying to, nobody wants to flash anybody. Please. We just want to feed our babies. We just want to feed our babies. But, so, and I think that's just the stigma that's attached to it will cause some mothers, young mothers, to not breastfeed their babies. Because, like I was talking about pumping, it's fine if you want to pump and have breast milk so you can feed your baby. But I realize a lot of mothers, even that breastfeed at home, they'll pump and bring milk with them so they can bottle feed their baby's breast milk out in public. I barely want to walk with the baby back. Much less to walk with bottles and pump parts and bottle warmer and all of these things. And because for me it's not necessary, and I'm not a bag person to begin with, I could go out with the baby with just my handbag and just drop 2 diapers and some wipes in there and 1 onesie and I'd be fine. But because even right now the baby's bag is here and it's pretty much empty. I don't know what is in there. I think I have a change of clothes for her and one for the 3-year-old. And probably 1 diaper. Probably 1 diaper is in there. I feel like it's too much extra work. But I know that some people have to do it. Or they might feel like they have to do it because they don't want to be judged, or they don't want people to be looking at them and turning up their nose when they're out and about with their baby. I get it. But for me, as for me and my house, we will be outside with a receiver across here. When I went to the clinic, I was wearing a dress that, what do you call this, alta? It has straps that ties at the back, and then I had on a cardigan, and I'm wearing my pumping bra, and the nurse was like, oh, I like that, it's so easy for you to get your breast out and still be discreet. And I was like, yeah. And even at the clinic you see women and they're in like t-shirts and then they have to pull the shirt up so they're exposing themselves to breastfeed, and they still do it. It's like, I don't know, we probably just I guess we're conditioned differently because we grow up seeing it pretty much everywhere and it's not weird to us. But I know that in other countries it's an issue. So that's what my poll was about. And since I started the live breastfeeding, I said, oh, let me do a poll. Um, yep, I am getting hot in my little corner, even though the windows are open. Alexa, increase ceiling fan speed. She's not saying okay. Alexa, set ceiling fan to 5.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, guys, if you're still here, I am going to put down this little lady and get back to what I was doing on my computer because it's gonna be time to go and pick up my little man in a few. Yeah. So I'm gonna say goodbye for now and trying to go live every day at midday because we're trying to grow on YouTube and they say going live. They say going live is what is gonna help you to grow. And I'm also trying to practice for my brand ambassadorship, for which I need to go live on Instagram once a month. And I'm terrified. So I'm practicing to go live on YouTube because I'm more comfortable doing it over here for whatever reason, I don't know. Um so we're gonna be practicing until I start going live on Instagram. Thank you for watching. Thank you for voting on my poll. And thank you for liking the video if you did. If you're still here and you haven't already liked the video, you can just double tap your screen and that should give it a like. And hopefully I'll see you here tomorrow again. I'll try to find another juicy topic to talk about in tomorrow's live. Bye bye.